are starting.
It's already started.
With the sound and the color.
Okay. It's already started. Thank you for leading me here. What you're going to start hearing about in the very near future are something called rods. And they will be something that will be videotaped. And what you will see are large streaks just shooting through the air that are etheric, that are being able to be captured on tape. And what you're seeing is literally fourth and fifth dimensional craft moving through space, not having the slightest clue that they're flying right through us. Okay? And that's because you're beginning to see the implosion. It's great stuff.
Took out his camera and decided to record the whole event of what was going on. He said it was nothing like he had ever seen before, the way these streaks of light were going across the sky. So he decided to put the whole 40-second event on social media to see if anybody could explain it. So one science guy reached back and said, back in 2017, a Japanese communication system had broke up, and it was just the debris coming back into our atmosphere. But, listen, I don't think inside that jail cell that they put us in. When you're children, they had you with your mind in a jail cell to think and to do what they want you to do. I don't buy it. I think it was something else. What do you guys think?
What is that? What is that? What was that?
Multi-dimensional universe, and there's at least 11 dimensions, otherwise the universe would collapse. Each dimension is a 90-degree angle right above the next one, compactified, so they're sitting right on top of us. So within less than a Planck unit of space above you, there's another dimension that actually exists with a whole other universe happening simultaneously while we're sitting right here. From higher dimensions, they experience time differently. Time really doesn't exist. The past, present, and the future happen all at once. So somebody from the fifth dimension would look at us and they'd be able to see us in all the different rooms. The different rooms represent different time frames of existence within this structure. So they can see the past, present, and future at the same time. Weird stuff starts happening the higher the dimensions you go. Atoms are 99.999% empty space. Nothing is really here. Everything is only a light wave slowed down to a particular frequency. And so if you can match frequencies, you can merge with things. You can walk through walls, all that kind of stuff. The things that are seen paranormal could be advanced beings have tapped into some type of understanding of how to match different frequencies in our dimension and appear paranormal, but in true reality, they could just be taking a peek in.
Dimensions are meshing together.
Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both presidents were shot in the head. Now it gets really weird. Lincoln's secretary was named Kennedy. Kennedy's secretary was named Lincoln. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Booth, who assassinated Lincoln, was born in 1839. Lee Oswald, who assassinated Kennedy, was born in 1939. Now hang on to your seat. Lincoln was shot at the theater named Ford. Kennedy was shot in a car called Lincoln, made by Ford. Lincoln was shot in the theater and his assassin ran and hid in a warehouse. Kennedy was shot from a warehouse and his assassin ran and hid in a theater. Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. And here's the kicker. A week before Lincoln was shot, he was in Monroe, Maryland. A week before Kennedy was shot, he was with Marilyn Monroe.
This
but we kind of are in our transformation era, and I'm talking about the collective as a whole, and as above, so below individuals. But like, can you feel it, babes? Can you feel it? Can you feel the timelines collapsing? Can you see how even on an internal level you are letting go of everything you no longer need, everything that's no longer in alignment with who you are becoming, okay? So celebrate the tower moments. If you've been working on yourself, raising your vibration, really cultivating, returning to self, you can let go of the relationships, the jobs, whatever it was that is being removed from your reality because you're ready for more. You're ready for something bigger. You're ready for a higher reality, a higher timeline. So let those timelines, let those realities collapse. You've outgrown them. It's time now to step into you, to step into a higher version of you. The universe is removing these things because on a soul level, you're ready for so much more. So let the destruction happen. Let the storm clear your path. If you're in a period of transition, which a lot of us, most of us are, surrender to it. Set your intentions for the highest and best to happen because it's an exciting time. It's not a time to be in fear. It's a time to be excited about who you're becoming. It's a time to start designing your reality. It's a time to honor your essence, to be honest with yourself, to step into this person that you're becoming. I don't know.
One thing you must remember is that when you're talking about the dimensions, the timelines are shifting. This is something that happened all over this universe. All right. For us, it's mental. And we as original beings, we are literally, our lives are being reshaped as we speak right now. This whole false narrative that was created by this artificial intelligence system that invaded our realm. We're watching this collapse.
4.1.
We talked about the hive mind earlier, and the reason for the hive mind is to try to keep our mentality on a third dimensional level, because the entities who are running this entire thing cannot evolve into the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. They can't go to the 13th density. They can only remain on the 3rd density. They can't go above the 3rd density. So the whole point is I can control the minds of especially the original beings, because we're the ones who literally make this thing happen. You know, very few of us have awakened among our species. But remember, the few literally controls the many. All right, seriously. And so, you know, just like we say, Air Zero said, hey, the young blacks are the problem with Israel. Why? Because our minds have changed. We being the atoms of this realm. All right, we're causing this realm to go from a 3rd density to a 4th, a 5th, a 6th higher density, because we're seeking to go into a higher mindset and not remain where
Location: Veracruz, Mexico.
We're not comfortable staying on the same level, dealing with money, things, cars, clothes. It's like so many of us want to evolve into this higher species of beings, which is like, this is what we want to be. You know, we no longer want to be in this controlled environment where I got to pay bills, I got to get up, I got to go to school, I got to go to work, got to go to church, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. And it's like everything is like textbook perfect. We're going past this right here. So that's the whole hive mind thing. The hive mind thing is all designed to keep everyone on a 3rd density level. Because when you break away from the hive mind and you start going on your own, just like we talk about building and creating, designing, going deeper into your meditation, going to the astral realms, controlling things outside of you that you can't do physically, you do spiritually. I mean, this is what's taking place, especially us as original beings. So we're the atoms.
of this realm. You have to remember, when you start talking about atoms, you're talking about those. The atoms are literally the electrically charged entities that actually control the whole thing. I mean, you got these atoms in your body, and these atoms are working. It's your atoms that's keeping your body going, and it's what this is the atoms that you put into your body that causes you to either die off or to become more powerful and to grow and expand. See what I'm saying? So, we as the original beings are the atoms of this realm, and we're taking this to a whole another level. All right, we're taking it to a whole nother level. So understand that, like we said, the hive mind is all designed to keep us at a third density level. We want to control how they think. We want to control everything that they do, so that they will not expand. Keep them at this density, and we can survive. That's all it's about. It's a thing of survival. Cover the sky up. So if you cover the sky up, there's no sun. They're not going to want to go outside. And then what are they going to do? They want to stay inside, and we can get them connected with this AI so that we can feed off of them, keep them in a third dimensional mindset. You understand what's going on? So, yes, the dimensions, this third dimensional system is collapsing as we speak. Our galactic sun, all right, the sun that charges up this galaxy, because there are many suns. Each galaxy has got its own sun. This is not the one that's east of us or west of us, but yet it's not the sun that's over this entire universe. No, this is just this galaxy. Each galaxy has got its own galactic sun. All right, that's just how it works. And some galaxies have more than one galactic sun, according to the frequency and the vibration of that galaxy. All right, so as we raise our frequencies and our vibrations, we change things. All right, so let's continue on this message here, okay?
Yeah. I think that dimensions are starting to merge.
People don't realize that they're merging with their multidimensional self, meaning that the data within their DNA, which is really just a living library of who they really are, is coming to the surface and integrating into their body. Now, when this data integrates, it can cause a lot of different things to happen. This one has to do with emotions, because the emotional faculty is going to pick up on this light, on this data, and you're going to begin feeling things that don't make sense to the logical mind. And for people that don't know what's going on, and that this is a huge part of the ascension process, you can easily begin to see how people can potentially spiral downhill because of this. Hi, Minnie.
Big whoa. Now look though. When you see these on the Egyptian wall, this is symbolizing the leaders that could travel into different dimensions, right? The circle above their head is called an egg of metamorphosis. You can see this, it's symbolized by a 90-degree angle shift, right? Different dimensions are separated by 90 degrees. When you see them traveling up a wall of a 90-degree angle, that's what that's symbolizing, right? Now keep listening, the Jews is coming. Now remember I told you it's called the egg of metamorphosis, right? That's what you see above the heads. That's what makes them leaders, the power to travel in that 90-degree angle shift, right? I'm going to show you how different dimensions and all that shit correlate with music. Listen. So once you travel and do that 90-degree angle shift, you can physically leave at will. I'm going to show you how dimensions work. You see how let's just pick the E key on the piano, right? You see how this is your dimension, but there's a very definite spot where the next dimension is? This is how this works. I'm going to show you. Listen. We live in a 7.23 centimeter wavelength, right? You know, like on a computer when the base hit them wavelengths, ours is 7.23 centimeters. You know this by the distance between your eyes, from the tip of your nose to the tip of your chin and across your palm, and what separates your chakras is all 7.23 centimeters. This is our wavelength. This is what dimension we are in. If you was to change it, you would literally just change into another dimension. It's 12 dimensions, but the 13th being the next of the first, of the beginning of the next cycle. So it's really the first and the 13th all at the same time, right? We are here in the third dimension. Listen. So just like on the piano, there are 12 notes in an octave and 12 overtones between each one, right? Now, there go that number again. 12 and 12, 144. How you become a part of the 144 is by having that dimensional knowledge to leave that energy field, that astral projection knowledge. Now, back when they created that microwave frequency, this is what they did. They upped the power. We were supposed to be low and steady. They put it to you'll pay for this shit. And that's why our shit is so, it's a powerful frequency bonding us to this motherfucker.
This is an AT&T microwave tower. You can tell it's an AT&T microwave tower because of the way that it is. Here's the microwave antennas. Here's the AT&T. It's pretty neat. This is a microwave tower. You can tell it's a microwave tower because of the way that it is. It's a tower, and it has microwave dishes. It's pretty neat. Playing with the fire element. And let me just show you how it went. So right here, you guys could just watch me mess with the settings on iPhone, just to see what I get.
He said in the comment that he asked him to show him themselves. You see the face there? That's the face right there. And this is fire. This is fire that he created. And looks like it's the head right there. You see the head? That's the hair. See the head right there? Let's move back a little bit. Let's move back. You see the head? See the neck? And the head? See the face right there? All connected. Very neat, man.
Now, so like, look, are you guys feeling like you are revisiting some old things in your life or situations or people? I know I have been. You kind of are seeing it in your dreams or even in your waking state. You find yourself thinking about people from back in the day or reliving experiences that you've had, like kind of getting mad all over again or getting sad all over again, and in some instances getting happy all over again. But for the most part, we're kind of clearing out some things that are old in our life path. And so right now, we're shedding a lot. Literally shedding. And so if you find yourself just crying out of the blue, or you find yourself getting mad out of the blue, or just thinking about somebody from your past, know that this is coming up for transmutation. It's time to like move it out and move it forward, because the grid is now pushing us into like the 4D, the fourth dimension. Well, we've been pushed in the 4D, but now it's kind of like the third and fourth are literally merging. And so as it merges, look at what's happening. We are kind of getting rid of, or the third is crumbling. So as it crumbles, so does some of your traumatic experiences and conditioning that you've had right now, during your lifetime. So like as these two combine, be in the mindset, or just be aware that you're going to be kind of shedding some things. And as a result of shedding some things, you're going to be experiencing or reliving some things. I found myself this morning, I woke up just crying. I'm like, why am I crying? I was thinking about things that happened like long time ago, just came out the blue. And so I realized that it was coming up for me to shed, okay? Because remember, as we ascend to that fifth dimension, the third has to do something, right? It has to crumble. It has to go somewhere. It has to leave, literally. So these two earths can merge. This higher vibrational earth and this lower vibrational earth have got to come to a place of merging. And so we're in the process of merging right now. So be gentle with yourself, be patient with yourself, just be aware of yourself, and just get through it, okay? Just get through it and know that we are shedding some of our old skin. And that's what we want to do, okay? So go through the emotions with a knowing that you are evolving.
Imagine that this folder is a dimensional plane. Now, Assuming that it is no height and no depth, what would this mean? It would mean that it's a one-dimensional world. So if, hypothetically, an organism was living inside of it, it would only be able to move in a linear path forward and backwards in a straight line. Now, if we go to the second dimension, we have two dimensions. We have width and we have length. So hypothetically, if an organism lived inside of here, then it would be able to move up, down, left, right, and anywhere else in between. And a two-dimensional world is comprised of an infinite series of one-dimensional worlds stacked upon each other. Just as our three-dimensional world, which has depth and length and height, is comprised of an infinite series of two-dimensional worlds. So, now that I've stacked many folders upon each other, we have three dimensions. We have depth, we have length, and we have width. Now what happens if you keep going on from here on out? We would have a four-dimensional world. But what exactly is the fourth dimension? In order to understand this, we need to understand how dimensions are perceived. We live in the three-dimensional world, but despite that, we actually view things to be two-dimensionally. Take a perfect sphere, for example. If you're looking at a sphere, it looks just like a regular two-dimensional circle. The only way that you can tell it's an actual sphere instead of a circle is because of the hues of light on it. So just like in a two-dimensional world, if a organism in the two-dimensional world was looking upon a circle, the light would make it appear to be lighter at one end and darker in the middle. Also, if an object is moving closer and farther away from you, you don't actually perceive that it's getting closer and farther away. You see that it's getting smaller or larger, and then you assume that it's getting either farther away or closer. But let's say that an object was to grow in perfectly equilibrium, so that it was growing at the same speed that it was shrinking as you move it farther away. Then you would not be able to tell, without any lights or if there were details on the object, that it's moving or growing at all. You may have assumed that since we perceive things to be in two dimensions, that a two-dimensional organism would see in one dimension. So, as we're watching this rubber band expand, as it moves farther away from this little organism in the two-dimensional world, it does not actually perceive anything's happening to it because it's growing at the same speed that it's moving farther away. But since we can actually see it from the three-dimensional world and perceive things to be in two dimensions, we can see things for how they actually are. The reason that the two-dimensional organism doesn't see things the way they really are is because the two-dimensional organism sees things in one dimension, just how we, three-dimensional creatures, see things in two dimensions. So in a way, we don't really see our world the way it truly is. A four-dimensional creature, however, seeing our three-dimensional world in three dimensions, would be able to see through things, would be able to see absolutely everything, just as we could see if there was several organisms spread along a 2D environment on your floor. You'd be able to see inside houses, you'd be able to see inside of people. So if a two-dimensional world, a flat surface, is just made of an infinite amount of lines, then the 3D world is just made out of an infinite amount of planes. So the 4D world, logically, is made out of an infinite amount of 3D objects, though they're not just put together like you would like building blocks. That's not how the 4D world is. That would just be 3D again. So in order to understand this, we need to understand the logical progression of mathematics in our world. Imagine that this connects piece represents the first dimension and simply a straight line, which is basically what the first dimension looks like. And if you add three more of these straight lines and connect them so that adjacent sides are perpendicular and opposite sides are parallel, then you have the basic shape of the second dimension. You have a square. Now if you keep going from here and you add it so that there's a total of 4 squares, and all adjacent sides are perpendicular and all opposite sides are parallel, then you end up with, obviously, a cube. So, if you tried to keep going from here, and you would have a four-dimensional basic shape, you would have let's call it a tesseract. Now, I cannot show you a tesseract, but you need to understand that it's basically four cubes that are within each other that have all adjacent sides perpendicular and all opposite sides parallel. Yet there are four lines connecting to each vertex. So a tesseract would look somewhat like this picture. Now that's not exactly what it looks like, because this is a two-dimensional depiction, and obviously not all of the lines are straight. So I cannot show you what a tesseract actually looks like, because we cannot perceive things in the third dimension. You cannot even imagine what a tesseract looks like. You cannot in your mind picture the fourth dimension or a fourth dimensional shape. You can keep going on from the fourth dimension even. You can go to the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, the 71st dimension. It doesn't matter. Theoretically, there are an infinite amount of spatial dimensions. The common misconception of the fourth dimension is that the fourth dimension is time. Now, while some argue that by going forward and backwards in time, if you move forward the same distance and backwards the same, then you would end up in the same place you started, just like in the fourth dimension. And while that may seem logical, if you think about it, it really doesn't make sense. If you imply that the fourth dimension is actually time, well, first of all, time is not spatial. There's a difference between space and time, quite obviously. And assuming that all dimensions are according to a pattern, then that doesn't really make sense either, because saying the fourth dimension is time, every dimension has time in it, so that would mean that the fourth dimension is special in some way, which doesn't really make any sense. Another reason this doesn't make sense is that we still very, very, very slightly travel through time whenever we move due to the distance that light takes to get to our body. Now, if a group of astronauts were to get in a spaceship and they were to go very, very, very close to the speed of light, then they went around in this impossible, nearly the speed of light spaceship for a few months, and then afterwards they returned to Earth. They would find that Earth had actually progressed a few years, so they had moved forward in time by moving that quickly. Another interesting concept involving the fourth dimension is that many physicists and even mathematicians may say that the dimensions are very, very slightly curved, because if you really think about it, nothing can be truly, absolutely infinite. So imagine that the first dimension, the line, is just very, very slightly curved, so that after a very long time, it will end up creating a circle. So, as suggested by many physicists, if you keep going in the same direction, then you will end up where you are, where you started after a very, very long amount of time, obviously. And the same thing would happen to the second dimension. If it's just a square, and then you extend it very, very slightly in a curve, it will eventually make a sphere. And the same thing happens in our dimension, except it will form a very, very slightly curved third dimension, which will form a four-dimensional universe, basically. So what this kind of means is that our three-dimensional world is within a four-dimensional world, and the four-dimensional world is within a fifth-dimensional world, and so on. Now, I did say that nothing can be truly infinite, but if this is true, and a dimension is really within another dimension, within another dimension, within another dimension, then I'm implying that there's an infinite amount of dimensions, which is the only problem I really have with this theory. I'm not sure if it ever stops, or if infinity is really even possible. We don't know that. Thanks for watching my video, and I hope this gave you a better idea of what the fourth dimension is.
You can teleport, you can fly, you can heal things. Your thought creates the reality. But there are limitations. You just can't destroy the whole dimension. There are astral police, by the way. When you meet a time traveler, it's in the fifth dimension. So they're real. We know they exist. Every time you can think of a potential future, you're actually creating a parallel universe. Your astral body, your spiritual body, it looks like a ghost. Let's say you're having a problem with someone. Go to the astral plane. You create what's called a sanctuary, like a conference room in the fifth dimension. You now summon the soul of the person person you're having problems with. They have to show up. You can now work out your differences. You can do a negotiation with them. They won't, on the Earth plane, won't know what's going on because they're asleep now in the fifth dimension.
You're down here on Earth, way at the lowest level, Dimension 1, Dimension 2, Dimension 3. You're in 3D, the third level of this entire thing. You're only the third level out of all of this. You're only the third level, and you think you're the shit in the center of the world. You ain't shit. You are shit. You're at the bottom. You're at the shit level. You're at the dying level.
If there's a question,
What you think is normal, it's not normal to be in a fallen system. This is a fallen system. This isn't a fallen system. This is following the law of one, and we're glorious. We're glorious beings in Tara, and we're immortal, and we're giants, and we're super psychic. Now, that doesn't mean there's no darkness. Remember, darkness goes all the way up, all the way to the 11th dimension, remember? Darkness goes all the way up to 11th dimension. Here's their fallen system. It goes all the way up to 11.5, the phantom. The black hole space-time distortion. It's like the pit. Hell, if you want to call it. So darkness only goes up to right before the Christed level. D12 is the Christed level. This is where Jesus comes from. That's why he was called Jesus Christ. It has 48 strands of DNA. See, most synagogos will have starting 24. You have a particle universe, but half of your self, your other self, your doppelganger is an anti-particle universe. You have incarnations here. That's why there's beings with 24 strands possible. 12 on this side, 12 on that side. But remember, there's more dimensions still.